Welcome everybody, Rosie Glow here with the lovely Vivien, who I'm so excited to introduce to you all. Now, when we do these little short videos about our beautiful client success stories, it is for you to all understand, if you've been thinking about joining us and joining the Rosie Glow Starship Star Piece and the Rosie Glow Galaxy and what it's all about. These are the practical results that our clients get as they make a choice to unplug from the fear matrix and plug into the divine matrix. And obviously we have a whole process. We have the Fearless, Loved Up and Free to Be Me program and Liberation from Limitation. And the lovely Vivien joined me first and foremost for the Divine Feminine retreat last year, didn't you? Yeah. And then felt inspired for Fearless. I mean, do you want to say a little bit about the start of your journey?
Oh, it's been fabulous. It's been a gradual thing, and when I look back, I realised that everything before that had led me to meeting you, to then to go on to the retreat, to then to go on to Fearless. And once you do it, it's like, oh, this is it. It's that feeling of the glove fits. Yes, this is right for me. Yeah. So yeah.
You're looking so radiant, and I have to say before we go any further that you are a coach yourself, aren't you?
Yeah.
And what is the name of your coach status?
Well, it was life detox coach, which is still the same, but I'm also focusing on helping people rewrite their money story.
Oh yeah, that's one of the best things about our story together, isn't it? Because you were previously an accountant, right?
Yeah.
And this is the beautiful thing, is like when people make that shift from 3D to the 4D world, and you're like wanted to help others, got into coaching, but you knew there was just these elements of old mentality still feeding into your current reality and therefore keeping you in a place you didn't want to be. For me, it's about how can we have the most impact in this world, right? And enjoy ourselves the most. And I remember when you first came in, you know, we explore as part of the program. We've got a sort of sister program that's part of Fearless, which is divine prosperity, right? And regenerative wealth. So one of the things we explore is our relationship to resource, money, the way that we actually, look at how we access things that seem beyond our current, cash flow, if you like, because often people, when they join the program, don't have the initial investment money, and it can feel a bit like, oh gosh, it's not for me because I haven't got the money. It's like, no, this is part of the journey, is you trusting in your capacity to attract what you need to do the things that you want. And you've gone into basically crypto in a really big way, haven't you? And just like helping others get out of that old mindset. So before we go deeper into that, let's just have a quick little look at who you were before you joined the program. So you said to me off camera, you just can't even remember who you were, but like, let's have a sense.
Yeah, I have to start. In fact, you might have to remind me what I was like. I had done so much inner work. I have done 20 years of inner work because I had my awakening when I was in my late 30s, and yet there was always that feeling that something didn't feel right, things weren't working out. And I've got used to it, and I thought, well, that's the way it is. So now that I look back, another big shift I've had is clinging on to money. It's like, no, I've worked my whole life, and I'm going to keep hold of it. And you just, sometimes your words have just landed, and it can be just a short sentence. And I remember being at your house back in December, and you said, you need to help people with money. And then, because it just popped out your mouth because you're channeling. And I could recognize that you're channeling. So I thought, yeah, you're channeling that for me. And there's been so many times that you've done that, even whether I'm on the training or not, you just have this knack, you just know. And now I'm still having a bit of wobbly because money is going out very quickly, but if the old me wouldn't have even considered doing what I'm doing now, which is basically an Airbnb quite a lot, while I try and move to one property and another, that would have been a no way. I'm staying where I am, and I'd have clung on to my flat and stayed, I've got to be here, and then not been happy. So it's a bit, I've learned to let go of so much, and once you let go, you have that freedom, and I feel like I'm free now. It's freedom you can't really identify very easily, but that would sum up everything, all the shifts. my relationships changed. Like, oh, before I thought I'd never meet my divine counterpart, and then they were there during. I mean, that was amazing. Part of the FearLESS, I did the male detox. I knew I had to do it, and I knew it would help, and I did it on the Monday, and on the Wednesday, I actually had this whole feeling pass through me of unconditional love, and then 2 days later, the divine counterpart was right there in front of you. It took days. It was that effective, but you know, to go into 5D, it's like I needed, for me, because I'm the sort of person that clings on to things, I needed to do that work beforehand. But the speed of the shifts since working with you has been so much faster. It's like, I wish I'd met you sooner, but then I wouldn't have been ready for you, because you're doing it at such a higher or deeper level, whichever way you want to look at it. And I've done, I've done lots of courses of self-improvement, if you like, but
well, it's the digging deep. I think this is what I remember with you, is that, I mean, you summarize, I think for all of us, it's trusting ourselves, right? It's learning to trust our inner authority. When people come to Rosy Glow, they need to have been primed to a certain level. So, this is my experience as well, is I'd spent, 15 years learning things, YouTube videos, books, mini courses, digital courses, always self-developing, but never having the capacity to work with someone to take me really deep into the places I was scared to go. And we can't ever coach ourselves through those things because we have blind spots. So you need someone loving, able to hold that energy of your high, I saw you as your higher self. All of us as the coaches, as we go through this process, can see that end result and then support you to get there, right? But what I remember about you is so something I see very much in our clients is the desire to help others is so strong. And of course we do as much inner work as we can, but invariably there's this sense of, I must help others. I must be useful in this world. I must do good. And we don't realize that a big part of that, a huge foundational part, is, am I good in me? Do I feel well-resourced? Do I feel happy? Have I got what I want? And what you said about your guy showing up, that's exactly what happened for me is, I started the process. He came in, but it took me 4 years to be ready to be with him. And it took him 4 years to be ready to be with me. I was just at the start of the journey. So way back then, when I first ran this course, we were getting our results, but this is now this really compact, super fast container, right? And for me, it's 4 months, 15 years worth of work, 20 years worth of work in 4 months, just really going deep to the root. Go on.
Yeah, because that was another huge shift that you just reminded me. Obviously, I've integrated so much. Was the I forgot what I was going to say now. It's just gone. Sorry, because I was listening to you. Oh yes, the helping others. Yes, I've spent years of finding a way. You want to help everybody to be the best selves. And that was the biggest breakthrough, was learning to help myself. And so this helping others is actually compensating for not looking after myself. And I realized after I've spent 20 years doing all that inner work, forgiving all the people around me for the way they've treated me and all this sort of thing, and letting go of it and realizing that I'd invited it in and all the rest. And the crucial moment was one day, I was watching one of your videos. It just slotted in place. But you haven't forgiven yourself. And so now I'm having quite a few months of putting myself first. And those people that I'm helping, they're going to be there when I'm ready for them, but I'm not ready for people now. I'm still helping myself because I'm basically adjusting nearly 60 years worth of conditioning, and it's not going to happen overnight. So that was probably the defining moment. And this is after the Divine Counterpart. No, it was around the same time, actually, because I was going through all the detoxes. But it was a moment, and I cried for 24 hours because it's like, oh, you forgot you. And that's what it's all about. So,
wow. Oh, babe, big hug to you. We have to be selfish to be selfless. And we're not taught that. Our old programming, just like you said about money, and I want to come back to that because you know, I've seen you blossom. I've seen you, like, you're radiating now, right? You're recognizing the value of putting energy into you, getting yourself in that stable, secure space within. It's not so much about the outside, right? Because it used to be the house, the mortgage-free house, these are the security things. Now it's, hold on, if I feel inner resourced, if I trust that life loves me and is always seeking to support me, and when I don't know what to do, and when I don't feel I have enough, I can just come back to me and open myself up to my higher self, adjust my vibration before I try and change anything outside of me. That's then when things really start to shift. And I'm really seeing you having embodied that. And, you know, that money story we're talking about is, in brief, everybody, you know, Vivien, you had your own place, right? You were coming into some money, from what I can remember. There was an inheritance, but it was all locked up and it was all difficult and challenging. And then whilst you were on the program, you went through this big shift in how you viewed money and resource. And, you know, those of us who have been sort of conditioned 2 generations, 3 generations ago, we don't get loans, we don't want to borrow money, we don't want to be in debt. And it's totally understandable, right? Because we don't want to be in lack. And yet in this newer world today, unless you have a credit score, you can't really access anything, and it's a catch-22, right? But we're also leaving an old paradigm of money, or the money story. And you are brilliant. That's, I'm not even going to go into that. Just follow Vivien, everyone, and you'll hear all about that. And Augustine, who connected you up, who's one of our coaches. And basically what I've seen you do is go, all right, I'm going to unplug from that old system. I have resource, right? I'm not going to just go and buy somewhere to have somewhere. I'm giving myself the time to detach from all of that sort of being somewhere and being safe because I'm somewhere. So you're Airbnb, you're exploring places, you are looking for somewhere to buy, right? But there was that story around, do I want a house? Do I want land? Like what is it I want? So do you want to speak about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm still processing that at the moment. But there's two sides of me that I'm wrestling with. There's a part of me that wants to be settled and have my little house and my space. But there's another part of me that wants to show everyone and lead the way in terms of, no, you don't have to be in the right. To buy the house, I feel like I'm putting myself in a box and behaving. Whereas I could buy a plot of land, get an eco home, get a prefabricated home, and do so much with less money. Because property is so expensive and the market is so crazy at the moment. I'm thinking, no, maybe I'm supposed to be here to show people there's another way that other than society has shown us so far, i.e. get into huge debt and owe the banks for a huge mortgage, and therefore your home's not really yours anyway. And I probably wouldn't even be able to consider this if I hadn't done your course, because it's created those shifts and it's helped me let go of the old ways of doing things. And I've got to the point where now I'm totally free. You still have to have an address just to function, because if you want to have a bank card, you have to have an address, and if you want to do anything, they want to know where you live. Even going into a estate agent, so what's your address, madam? And I'm giving the old one because I have to have one. And I'd say, yeah, it's just correspondence, but there's ways around doing things, and it's just doing FearLESS, and they meant that I can now be fearless. It's literally that, isn't it? It's just, there's still that part of me that gets a bit wobbly. Oh no, I have to have somewhere. So I am trying to buy somewhere, but I can feel this big pause in here, and 2 months' time, maybe I'll be saying, actually, no, I'll let go of that, and I'm not buying anywhere, and I'm in a camper van looking for my perfect plot of land.
Yeah.
And even the pet, this is another thing. So I've got the restriction, if you like, in terms of renting and finding somewhere. I've got 2 dogs and 2 cats. Even the cats are becoming nomadic. They're getting used to moving. The first place I went to, they hid under the sofa for 24 hours, or one of them did. Whereas now it's like, oh, okay, here's a new place. They have a sniff around, they go outside. I don't have to worry about keeping them in. None of this, oh, you've got to keep a cat in for 2 weeks, blah, blah, blah. No, yeah, and they enjoy the exploration. So they could happily be in a camper van with me wherever I go, stop, they can go out, have a sniff, come back. So the pets are adapting as well. And I'll keep thinking, so I don't have that pet restriction anymore either. I am totally free. I don't have council tax to pay. Yeah, Airbnb is expensive, but there's a lot of compensation.
Yeah. They've been deprogrammed, Vivien. Your cats and your animals have been deprogrammed from the fear matrix.
Exactly. They're loving it too. But because they pick up on our energy, don't they? I mean, I'm an absolute animal lover, and I think if you can love animals, you're still in touch with the whole world, because the animal world is just as crucial as our world and part of the universe, if you like. It's another way of communicating. So yeah, I know it sounds funny, but it is from doing I couldn't possibly contemplating this sort of lifestyle. And now my next stage, I'm moving tomorrow, and I can stay somewhere for 5 weeks, which will be good for me. Moving every couple of weeks can be exhausting, but it'll be a chance to just retrench. Like, what do I want out of life? Do I want to be in a box and have something else and then travel, or do I actually want to do it completely differently?
Yeah,
and we'll see.
And what you're not doing is forcing yourself into a decision because of fear, right? You're allowing yourself some time, and I'm really seeing that you're giving yourself this transitionary time to really unplug and see where there's still elements of that old way of seeing things. And, for those of you who maybe haven't seen the course content, we have co-creation 101. We have these 6 co-creation steps, right? And we have these 6 pillars of divine leadership. We have structures to help us feel like we can trust our way through the unknown territory, because you are a Paradise Earth pioneer, right? And sometimes, as I think I feel everyone is called to Rosy Glow. But what happens is sometimes we're way ahead of the game. Things haven't actually shifted in our physical reality yet for us to actually do what is our divine plan. And one of the rainbow gems is it's not either or, it's and this and more. And our rainbow gems, by the way, my friends, are like the slogans that fill your head out of your paradigm.
Yeah, they're fabulous. I got them laminated. Well, I laminated them myself, cut them up, and I pick one out each day. This is before they went into the lockup, but I can recreate that. But yeah, those little sayings that you just need to hear at that moment.
In that moment when you're stuck. But also, another thing I remember about you is how much you were, we all do this when we haven't really learned to value ourselves, but putting everyone else first. And you were in a job you hated. Like, at the time, you'd taken a job to have some money coming in, you committed to this course, the funds weren't quite there, right, for you to pay it off in one go. So you were doing an installment plan, and it was like, dare I let myself leave this job that I don't want to do anymore, right? Because your soul, like your whole physical being, was saying, I don't want to be here, right? But you felt this tremendous responsibility to others, which is very typical of those of us I call the Paradise Earth builders, because we're the therapists, the coaches, the teachers, the healers, the light workers, and we're just programmed to put others first. And absolutely, we're here to help others, right? But there's that bit of, you have to be in an anchored and well-aligned space yourself. And you did let go. And it's that trusting that what's really right for you, even if it might be inconvenient and uncomfortable for others, it's actually right for them as well. So it brings us into that win-win-win and highest good of all concept, which is what I know that is how you put your soul in control. That's how your ego stops playing, right? But you gave me another example of that, which was, for so many of us, the only way we actually dare trust is to experience something, right? People can tell you all sorts, but until you've experienced it yourself, it's like, oh no, that's other people's opinions. And often what we do when we're, on the 3 to 4D bridge, or even 4 to 5D bridge, and these are levels of consciousness. I've made many videos about them. You can check them out on Facebook and YouTube and our website. But essentially, this whole thing is about trusting you without needing to know why, right? If you've got a bad feeling about something, once you've gone through this clearing, you don't have to dramatize a situation. You can just really trust your inner authority, which is essential if we are pioneering new territory. If we're creating a new world, we're only going to create more of the old if we don't actually come forward from a different space. So the Airbnb you were at last time, tell us.
Well, and just also the job you just mentioned, that was a case of something didn't feel right. I knew I had to leave it. And as soon as I did, then I knew it was the right thing. So that I was starting to trust myself, even though I was worried about people's wrath Like if I do what I want to do, they're going to get cross with me. And that helped me, because then suddenly it all fell into place, like, oh no, that's why you didn't like it. And then I got hindsight straight away. Yeah, and the Airbnb last week, it was, so this is my next stage, is to trust that feeling straight away, because I've always been a person that's wanted evidence, more evidence, more evidence, more evidence to then trust, even though you get that feeling at the beginning. And there was a horrible experience in an Airbnb for a week. But when I first saw the picture, when I booked the place about 3 weeks before, I just looked at that picture and I had this feeling, I don't like it, I don't like it. But I felt I had to take it because I needed somewhere to live, and it was just, right, let's do it. And then when I was in the place, the bad feeling was there from the moment I got in the reason, and that the man wasn't very nice, and he ended up chucking us out after a week. He found reasons. And I was so relieved to get out of there. And now that I've had a couple of days to process it, I thought, yeah, that feeling was there a week before, just from looking at a picture. But it was knowing, actually, no, this doesn't feel right. Yes, I let it go on, and because he got difficult, Airbnb compensated me as well, because it was a nasty situation and there was evidence there. Had I done something as soon as I moved in, I could have lost more money. So it doesn't hurt that I went through the experience. But now I know that when I look at a picture and I don't feel right, don't book it, because it's going to be a nasty experience. And I know that feeling, and I know I can trust that now.
And that goes for men and houses and women. And, you know, we can trust our feelings, actually.
Yeah.
I
think emotions are the future. For me, emotions are our drivers that are the root of everything, which I think is part of what you're doing. It helped me, even though I'm an emotional person, you've helped me learn to handle those emotions, because sometimes I was upset and not knowing why. And now I understand it's because I would call myself an emotional psychic, if anything. So I don't know, but I'm getting psychic feelings through emotion, and I'm getting other people's emotion. And I can be upset about something, and then I realize, actually, no, that's not my upset, that's someone else's. And oh, that's okay then. And you've helped me learn to accept that. But it's okay, because at first I thought, oh, if it's someone else's, I mustn't have it. And it's like, oh no, that's just the way it is. I'm going to get upset sometimes, and it's because it's someone else's. And then it's done. And you don't have and emotions are the future. If we can all accept our emotions, we can know what to do and do what you're doing or whatever. Yeah,
but your superpowers are coming online now, because this is one of the things that happens is when we're talking about aligning consciousness, your conscious mind, which is your thinking mind, which you were very much in your head. You wanted evidence all the time. You were spiritually open, and I see this all the time, like you were definitely getting your impulses and your witchiness and crystals and all sorts of things would happen, and I'd say something, you'd be like, oh my goodness, I just saw that. So it was already open in you, but the deferring was to the mind all of the time. What do I think? Which is programming from the past. It can't prepare you for the future. The heart is the emotional center that's like Clapham Junction. It will connect you to any timeline, any experience you want, but we then have to make that conscious choice to surrender control to our higher self, to our soul, right? So what I'm seeing coming on in you is claircognizant, clairsentient frequencies, right? So you just know, you just feel it, you can sense it, and that's that. And we all have different superpowers as we activate our superconscious, right? But also what you are describing, this balance between the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine in you, because part of the course was to evolve your inner family, and that's how the detoxes help, right, as part of the bigger container. And these are emotional mental detoxes, by the way, that take us through a process. But essentially you learn, first of all, to access feeling vibration, and then take inspired action and learn to practice that. So it's not like you're divorcing your head or your brain or your mind. You're just getting it to follow the lead of the heart rather than the other way around. And we have to spend a lot of time working with that, because in principle we agree, and then there's all these bits of us that go, no, that's not the way it is. And that's the blind spot discovery and fine tuning. So I really see that in you.
Sorry, I've just remembered just quickly, that's another thing, another shift from before working with you and after. Before, I was aware that I had masculine energy and feminine energy working equally within me, but it was one or the other. and they were totally separate, whereas now they're integrated, and it's just, I just float between the two, and I'm not even aware of it, and it really doesn't matter. So the masculine and feminine have completely integrated and merged within me, which is what I think is needed to move forward and to be the higher self. It's accepting all parts as one rather than seeing them as separate. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
I have a dear friend who's another coach, and he talks about humans being resolved. And this is it. There are a lot of unresolved beings on this planet. And what I see is the more we open ourselves up spiritually without having done that inner resolving and integrating and grounding, the more chaotic and crazy and challenging life becomes, because we haven't got the banks of the river set up for that channel of energy to flow. So what would you say to someone who's thinking about doing this journey with us? Because now you know, Augustine and Kate are coaching the course, and I'm there doing the sprinkles on top where required, but ultimately they've nailed it. They're doing it, you know, like they're, as you will be doing, I'm sure at some point as well, that you integrate it and you can teach it. That's the next level. Yeah. Mastery. So what would you say to anyone who might be thinking about doing this with us, this work?
I'd say don't hesitate, but they probably would, but do it anyway. Yes, by all means, stop and think, well, yeah, it is a lot of money, but then, you know, it's worth it, and it's probably the best investment I've ever made in my whole life. Wow. And it's not actually that expensive if you break it down in terms of the time and what you get. You've got a lifetime of resources. Once you start, it can feel overwhelming. So I also learned to pace myself and do things my way, which is all part of being me, if you like, the phrase. Anyone doing it will get more out of it than they could possibly imagine or envisage, because you'll be such a different person. You'll look back like I am now and thinking, what was I like before? Oh yeah, and it's only through talking to you now that I'm remembering those things that I used to be. And this is only 6 months later, if that. And
since you started, because you're only 2 months since you graduated. Yeah, so it's,
yeah, I mean, it's been a gradual shift because I did your retreat, but even when I look back to the retreat in September, that I was a whole different person. Although we're always the same inside, you know, the core self, it's always there, but it's all realizing and coming to the surface, and they won't regret it. You can't possibly regret it. The only thing you'd regret is not it starting and not finishing, or not doing it.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah, and if it's come to you, it's because the timing's right. The timing was so right for me in terms of having the money to do it, and after doing all the work. And I know I keep mentioning money because that's my focus, because I'm an accountant, so I will be looking at the money, but maybe some people won't be thinking about it. I'll be thinking of other considerations. Oh, well, I haven't got the time or whatever, but it's just so worth the commitment, because it is, you know, that a lot of people say, oh, you're investing in yourself, but with this, you really are investing in yourself, your whole self, your higher self. And the freedom is incredible. There's no way I could go back to the way I was. I wouldn't want to at all. And if I feel myself slipping, I've got the resources. And Augustine and Kate are fantastic. They're a brilliant complement to each other. Augustine is so young, and yet he's got such a wise head on his shoulders. Because I remember you saying to me, are you all right if someone else coaches? And it's like, well, yeah, because I trusted your judgment in the coaches you chose. And it didn't matter that Augustine said, oh, you're the same age as my mum. That's fine. I'm not proud, you know. I've got humility. It's fine. If he knows what he knows, then he knows what he knows. And Kate's breathing exercises, I just love when she got us doing that at the beginning. And she's so grounded, and she's very strong. She talks with strength of conviction. So yeah, between the two, they got the full complement. And yeah, so, and it's great when you join in as well. And
I feel like I'm like the fairy godmother that just comes along, sort of sprinkling things as they come. But this is the point: is once people are connected to this channel, if you like, because I didn't even know Rosy Glow was a galaxy when you first came along into our world. It's so much has happened, and it's happening so quickly. So as I grow, more information comes, and so everyone who comes and joins us gets that next level upgrade very quickly. All right, I'm really just so enjoying having this conversation with you, and this is why we do these, because it is really inspiring to hear different people's stories and what brought them in. What I feel though is people will be watching this going, oh, I like Vivien, I'd like to know more about what Vivien does, and when she's ready to do some coaching and maybe she wants to tell me about this crypto or changing the money story, how could people access you?
My domain name is Rewrite Your Money Story. I'll be more, it's in the setup at the moment. They'll be doing the coaching to help them rethink. I'm on Instagram. Well, I will be on Instagram, Facebook. They're my two social channels. So just look out for rewriteyourmoneystory.com. There's lots of other domains, and I'm just rewriteyourmoneystory.com. End of story.
Yeah.
Cool. End of. Yeah. No other variation.
Oh.
Now that's the best way, I think. Just look for that domain name.
All right. Well,
there'll be a bio and there'll be a picture of me, so they'll know it's me.
They'll know it's you, and we'll put your links in with this video anyway. And anyone who's part of the Rosy Glow community, Augustine kind of introduced Vivien to CFX and myself as well. So, this is just one element, but it's not about that. It's about rewriting your money story, full stop. Then you open up to other avenues to explore that, right?
Yeah, the world's changing on many levels, which I'm so glad of. And because of my accounting experience and my knowledge of how money works, I want to lead people into a new way of having their money and not getting into debt and having freedom with their money. Money is choice. It's an energy that helps you choose and do what you want to do for you. It's not about having millions or anything. It's
energy. It's energy
work for you.
Yeah. So that kind of takes me to that course title, Fearless, Loved Up and Free to Be Me. It does what it says on the box, right? We've thought about changing the name because we're like, oh, we've been calling this for many years, but it's what it does, right? That's what it does. So thank you, Vivien, for taking the time on a very beautiful sunny day to be with us and to share this. And we will obviously connect again and look at where you are next, because I like to check in with people every 3 to 6 months and see what's going on. And definitely, the shifts that occur through this journey last much longer than a holiday, a secondhand car, a boiler. This is lifelong, right? So that's why it's an investment, not a cost. Anyway, big hugs from afar. Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for saying yes to you, because seeing the shift in you, this is what makes my whole world just shine. It's just beautiful.
And she really means that. That is a genuine from the core comment. It's not just a spiel or anything. That's real.
Oh. I'm a helper too, but I had to learn to help myself. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Lots of love. Anyone who wants to know more, just follow the links. And we're doing quite a few masterclasses, so just look out for those as well, because they will be available for you to check out on our pages, on our social media channels. But have a beautiful day, Vivien. Thank you.
Thank you.
And looking forward to hearing the next bit.